on, everybody? Welcome back to the Old Terps podcast. I would say it's Andy T, but Kevin's getting mad at everybody for introducing. So I'm here with Travis, Reese, Kevin, and myself. We're here today. We're going to talk all things Terps. We might even dabble a little bit into a little Dominican Republic talk. Are we allowed to do that? Should we keep that off air? What's the thought here, guys? A little fun in the sun.
I had a wholesome couple of days on the beach. Lovely weather, great water, great food, very fresh home cooked meals. I had a good time. I don't know about you guys. I had a blast.
Unbelievable.
I love when we tell stories we give no context. So the boys went to Dominican Republic for All-Star break, which is why it's been a little hiatus for the pod here. And we had a great time. First time there, I think, for everybody. Little Puerto Plata, Chris Duarte, shout out. Thank you very much. Not shout out to Remy, but shout out to Chris. Appreciate you hooking us up with the fam. Mrs. Duarte, great family.
Shout out Mrs. Duarte.
Great chef. Yeah, they did it right. That was one of the better trips. We went there with Alex Lynn as well, another Terrapin, and we had ourselves a little blast.
And Mr. Fernando. Brunando.
Oh, and Bruno.
Big Bruins. He showed up. Yeah. He showed up. Shout out to him. He don't always, but he showed up.
Bruno in true Bruno fashion, of course, couldn't come when everybody else showed up. He came the next day, late, so we had to change our plans. But at least we got him there, you know.
As long as he came at any point, I apologize to our viewers for that comment. Let's go Terps here. We just watched them play IU. They played the first half like the most special team in the country, UConn-esque. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking Chris Willard got the boys rolling after Rutgers, even though they had a little lapse in between against the Northwestern Wildcats. But, you know, I'm thinking these boys might have figured it out, maybe a tournament team. And then in the second half, we all got brought back to earth. You know, I keep thinking to myself, this is the weirdest team ever. They can have high highs and super low lows. What I've come to the conclusion is these guys are just bad. They're not very good as a team, and I don't think you can, you know, they'll have good games here, but they'll have mostly bad games. And it's just one of those things. I don't even know if we need to talk about it that much more. I think it's more a look to the future. So you guys can give your take on what you guys think IU or what happened there, but it's mind-blowing to me that we can give up that many points and a half at home.
And I think it's like you said, I think fans want to hear what's next. I mean, they want this year to be over. Right now we're sitting at 15-15, which I don't know the last time Maryland was even or had a losing record, but I think it's all about next year. I think Coach Willard saved his, not career yet, but he keeps the fans on his side from the commitment from Queen. So I think that helps moving forward to keep fans with him for next year.
100%.
I think it's disappointing on senior night for us to go out like that. Like, you want senior night to be, regardless of the circumstances of the season and things that have happened, you want guys to remember it as a day where, you know, you went out on top, big win over a conference rival, you know, a day you remember forever as a win. And for us to kind of give up that nasty little run there. I think IU, they started the second half like 15-20 from the field. Like, that's ridiculous. And IU, respectfully, sucks. So a little bit disappointing senior night. But look, I think, like you guys said, people are starting to get ready to kind of look ahead to the future. And Derek Queen is a very big step in the right direction.
I think that was
Kevin,
more.
I think senior night
did not have a senior. Actually, I did come back. You guys played Michigan at home.
There.
That I think would have been my senior night. So I did
Correct.
go. Me and Mr. Nando went back
because it was mine, and it was sick. It was absolutely sick. Senior, I will say, sorry to interrupt here, fellas. Senior nights don't get better than that, though. They just don't, flat out. 100%. Noon, Sunday, CBS, Michigan in town, whooped up on them boys, purple bottomed them, and then we cut down some nets. It doesn't get much better than that.
So, yeah, outside of that, Did not have a senior night, but it kind of felt like it. Turds wanted me to cut down a net, and I appreciate the gesture, but I had nothing to do with any part of that season.
John Graham
but
did. John Graham cut the net down.
John Graham did get up there. We laid the foundation. This is us. It's like, John, how many games did you win in conference? You recruited these guys?
Kevin's just shitting on your fellow Terp for no reason. What did he ever do to you, Kev?
John's the best.
JG.
John is the king of positivity. JG's the best.
He is.
Cat just wanted to get a little net in his ear, and Kevin's blaming him for it. Man. Jeez.
Get the hell off the ladder, JG.
Oh
I think
my gosh,
actually me
that's
and
good.
Bruno were taking pictures with the trophy like we won it. So I probably had a similar issues that day as well. Just feeling a little too a part of it, just a proud alumni at that point, just proud of his team.
So
Travis
I made reference to, I want to see what you guys can guess here. The last time the Terps had a losing record, we're going to scratch after. So 2021, 2022, Terps had a losing record. That's when the Terps switched. We had an interim coach. Other than that, when was the last time Maryland basketball had a losing record? Now, this year, right now, we're 15-15. We don't have a losing record, but there's still one more game and then postseason. But when's the last time Maryland had a losing record?
When was Turge's first
I know when
season?
it was. Yeah. I was going to guess Turgeon's first season, 2013.
Got to be
maybe?
like 20,
Probably 11 and 12.
2013, around there. It's probably when he started.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with
thinking.
No, I'm going to go with the year before Turgeon got there. So
Okay.
what's that? 2010, 2011?
Probably right around 2011, 2012.
Okay,
That's
Turge's
Kevin's
first
guess.
year is 2011.
But it was with Alex Lynn. No, because they still had guys that could go. Because they still had Seth Allen. They still had Terrell Stoglin. They had guys that could still.
But the team with Stoglin was a mess, though. He was nice, but that team was a mess, I think.
Guys that can get buckets, man, it means something. Putting the ball in the hoop means something.
2012, lock it in. That's my guess. I guess that'd be Turge's second year because I'm almost positive he had a losing season. And then he's got it going a little bit. The Melo came in 2 years later, and then obviously shit changed.
Well, I
Good
think the
guess.
best part of the beginning of Turgeon was when Alex Lynn was telling us, I forget who did it, somebody walked off the floor, grabbed his stuff from the locker room with like 7 minutes left in the second half and went back to the view and just
Who did that?
left. I think it was Stoke.
I think it was. I want to say. I think it was Stoglin.
Like, dude, literally
Hold up,
subbed
fellas.
himself out.
Can we just confirm something right here? Is it Stoglin or Stoglin?
I think it's Stoglin.
I have no
think
idea.
it's-
I think it's
Come on,
Stoglin.
Trav. All right, Stoglin. I think it's Stoglin.
Stokes.
I think it's Stoglin as well. But yeah, literally subbed himself out, grabbed his stuff from the locker room, and literally walked back to the view, like mid-game. Kyle Tarp had to go get him and beg him to come back
Actually,
to
right.
the
Actually,
arena.
Kyle has told us that story. Kyle Tarp,
Yeah,
been
he's
around
told
the
it.
block. All right, Reese, give us
Multiple
an
times.
answer here,
Pops.
please.
So 2011, 2012, they went 17-15. And then, so winning record 2013, 2014, they went 17-15 again. Next year, go to the Big Ten, and then they go 28-7. But you have to go back to 1992.
Shut up.
1993.
Oh my god!
What?
The boys, they went 12-16 that year. Since
Was
then,
that after the? Was that the year that they got the death card or something? What is that thing called?
I think it's
When your
college
program
death
gets
penalty.
put on.
I think they literally call it
Yeah.
death penalty, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, just a little death penalty.
92?
92?
I would not have thought that. That's
Hold
a long
up,
time,
hold
bro.
up. We got Penn State. What do we have left here, fellas? We got Penn State on the road.
That's it. It's Penn State. That's it.
We
And
never
then the
win
Big
at
Ten
Penn
tournament.
State. We never win at Penn State.
I think our luckiest bid in this is going to be. Hopefully, we play on Wednesday. in the
We
Big
will.
Ten.
We will. We are second to last in the Big Ten standing, so we'll have a game on Wednesday night against
Michigan.
Ohio State, Michigan, one of those. Depending how things shake out, it'll be Ohio State, Michigan. maybe Penn State. So that helps us for the record because
Not if it's Ohio State. I don't know.
they're playing well. They're playing well. But
Hey,
like
there's a question for you. You look at the Ohio State vacancy, goes to Diebler, former player, things like that. But Ohio State in general, what do you guys think is the? And I'm kind of going off track here, so I apologize. But what do you guys think is the, like, in terms of coaching vacancy? What would be the number one job in America right now? You know, like, is it Ohio State? Is it where would you guys say? I mean, you never
I
know.
think
McCaffrey
DePaul.
might be leaving Iowa.
DePaul's a pretty good job
DePaul.
right now, right?
Yeah,
That was a joke. I hope everyone hears that. They
I was about to
have
say,
they won it?
you're kidding, right?
Drew
Drew's
likes it.
about to be
Drew
like, yeah. I
likes
mean,
it.
I think
It's a
DePaul
good
is-
conference. It's a good conference.
I think DePaul is a good job. I think it's one of the better vacancies in America right now. Why would that not be? I mean, it might not be Ohio State,
Louisville's
but-
gonna be the one. Louisville's gonna be the
Louisville.
one because that's gonna come open. Louisville's probably gonna be the one. Ohio State's gonna be up there. DePaul is like they just have no NIL and no fan support, but like it's in Chicago. You would at least think that you get the right guy there to get some going. Speaking of that, do y'all see who's been the interim coach for the season at DePaul?
No way.
No, it
After
hasn't.
no,
No,
not
it
Bino.
hasn't.
They
was
let
gonna say.
Okay.
they let Stubblefield go. Matt Brady.
It's Brady.
Matt Brady
Yeah.
has been the interim coach at DePaul.
Good for
Brady
Brady.
went from Oklahoma to DePaul. Now he's been the interim since then.
Good for Brady,
And
but can
he's
we get
done
a
really,
conference
really
win?
good job.
Can we get a conference win? Is that too crazy to ask?
Yeah.
They've been getting spanked.
People
Oh,
forget
God,
Matt
I
Brady.
fucking
Matt Brady can
love-
coach. People forget. Guy was at
Shot
Marist
doc.
and won a lot of games.
Professor Brady.
Call him a shot doc.
He's one of the best basketball minds. I don't know if he'll, it's tough when you go from head coach to assistant coach, then assistant coach, assistant coach, assistant coach. It's tough to find that niche. And then you're an interim coach for DePaul. That's probably the worst thing that could have happened for him. You know?
Someone should hire him.
What about Ohio State? What do you guys think is going to happen to Ohio State? You think Diebler has any chance to keep it, or you think they're going to go somebody like
They already know. They're already talking about Sean Miller.
they're already
right?
what?
You want to finish that statement?
It sounded like he was going to give a sneak peek into. Hang on, you just completely cut out. All
We
we
heard
heard
words you
was,
said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I said they're already talking about Sean Miller. I thought.
I saw
yeah,
that.
that's what I've heard as well.
I saw him and I saw McDermott from Creighton. I wonder.
I don't-
So this is almost like if he
Why would you
wins,
leave that?
if
I don't
Diebler
think-
wins a couple more games, you almost get into that little. It probably won't if you can get a Sean Miller, but it's like
Probably won't.
reminds me like Texas though. Reminds me of Texas though.
And
We're
what
like-
Texas do? They did that's a joke hire. That's the worst
Yeah,
hire,
they kept him, and because he kept winning, they were like, "We're gonna keep him."
and it was the worst hire ever. You
That
go get
hasn't been
established
great.
coaches.
At Ohio State, you're getting an established coach. That program,
You think that's a top 10 program in America?
top
We've
No,
had
it's
15 or
such a
20.
football school. It's
That
such a
is-
football
that's-
school though.
yeah.
Like it's tough. Like football is gonna be king there forever. It's a lot of money. It's it's a great place, but it's at a football school. It's tough to put them like top.
You know, also
I
stuff
think.
is having recruits come in, and you got 50 fans there in the nut house.
Correct. It's that is maybe one of the worst Big Ten home environments, and you would never believe that Ohio State is bottom 3 Big Ten home environments.
It's bad.
Okay, so here's
The gym's too
let
big.
me-
It's
let me
like they
back up.
just can't fill it. It's not like they don't get people at the game. It's just too big of an arena.
Literally.
so let me back up a little bit. What is top 10 coaching jobs in America? Is Maryland a top 10 coaching job?
No.
No, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
20, top 20, I think.
We can't sit here and list all these out. But you have the Blue Bloods, obviously. Outside of
Okay,
that,
so the whole
I mean,
reason I
the
asked it-
Louisville, UCLA, like
The
schools
whole
like
reason
that.
I asked it is on that side is NIL. Is that all just NIL? Like, is the top coaching jobs now strictly who has the most NIL money?
I think it is now. You hear from certain schools, bro, it's like it's not even fair the type of money other schools have over Maryland to budget with. We're talking about Jameer Young might be the biggest steal in NIL right now. Averaging what he's averaging, he's getting paid
Yeah.
maybe 200,000 versus guys, other schools, if they're putting up those numbers, they're touching 7 figures. So I think NIL plays a big part in what school is now a good job to coach at.
That's where I'm curious if this all shifts, like college basketball, and over the next 5 years, they could put in different rules and regulations. But like, is the SEC just going to start to dominate like every sport? Because doesn't it
They
feel like
already are.
the Texas
Has to.
A&Ms and
Has
like
to.
the schools you don't even think of as basketball schools, like the Auburns can throw whatever they want at people. Texas A&M, Alabama has unlimited money. Like all these schools just have
Yeah.
it to spend.
And you know who they're adding next year? They're Texas. Texas, Oklahoma are going to SEC. Imagine what that media deal is for them to watch them play football. So I think that's a great point. The simple access to resources, like nobody's going to be able to match that. But like at a certain point, like you do expect there to be some sort of regulation that comes out from the NCAA, because everybody's saying like it can't continue like this as like a wild west of NIL and free
It's going to be like
agency and
it's gonna be like baseball. Like if Texas is the richest school in the country, or Louisville is, right? I think Louisville's still up there. They're just gonna be the Yankees. Like, oh, we can buy anybody we want, and
yeah.
does that become it, or do they put in a salary cap?
Tampa.
Like,
Yeah, it's tough. Like, what do you do?
I'm curious to see just how that
I don't know.
moves.
I don't know how you. I don't know how you can even regulate it though, because then you just get into the cheating. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Then you go right back to where you were. It just becomes okay. It was the Wild West. Now it's more regulations, and you have sanctions and things like that. Oh, so we'll just cheat again.
You don't want to cap. You don't want to cap what kids can make, because you want kids to make as much money as they can, given what they're worth and like what they contribute to, what is the NCAA. But it's also like you can't have teams offering kids $10 million and somebody else in that conference has $500K for the same kid, and what's gonna happen then?
The thing I like in somewhere like a college basketball mind is like Jay Billis, and Jay Billis tweets about this all the time, and he thinks it should go towards you just sign contracts. Like there's this whole the transfer rules, and everybody's moving year to year, and right now everybody's just basically signing 1-year deals year to year, and you can't build a program. It's super hard. That's why all these coaches are getting out, and he's like, man, just go sign guys at 2-year contracts. That's why you got them, and a guy can't be at a low major, a Siena College, and the McCollum kid who's at Oklahoma right now was Siena's best player 2 years ago, and I know it's just because it's a local trend. And of course, he's a great season, and everybody around school in the area knew, like, yep, CJ's leaving. He's going to go somewhere else and get paid, and it's exactly what he did.
But even then, you look at the NBA, and you know this better than anybody else. You look at the NBA, and James Harden, he just says, "Okay, then I'm just not going to play." Contracts mean nothing, it feels like, to half these guys anymore, and then you waste a scholarship spot. So, you get yourself in a lot of trouble with the trends that are happening in the NBA, and then you start putting like real regulations, and you start signing these guys to contracts. It's tough because this world has a lot of prima donnas, and I'm not saying it is our generation that is them, and if I was a big time player, I'm making sure I'm getting as much money as humanly possible. And if I don't like
Are you kidding me, dog? Again, we've talked about this before. If I was in college, I would be, and I wasn't even playing, and I would have been getting paid. I would have figured it out. I'm telling you right now, we would have had tilted bench jumping. I would have been on every time Ant Cowan signs a basketball, Travis Bauman signing a basketball too, and I'm getting 20% of that.
Especially guys like, look at Hunter Dickinson. Like, he may or may not be a pro, but he's an incredible college player. So it's for him is to maximize as much money as you can while you're still young. And him going to Kansas was a big part of just getting paid. And so, because he might not make NBA money, so he needs to lock it in now.
So, talking about the future of Maryland, we just signed a 5-star. Travis, if you are Maryland going forward, how would you recruit? Because I've had this debate with a couple of my roommates, other people have debates. Do you go get 3-star mid-major guys that you're going to keep for 4 years, i.e. Purdue, number 1 team in the country? You develop those guys. They're going to be great for years. Or do you go get yourself an SEC team that is just straight athlete? They're going to go to the NBA. They're going to stay for 1 year. They're going to get paid a ton of money. And you have one great season. Kentucky's the freshman cycle. How would you go about it this era? Would you go get 5 stars, or are you going to mid-major transfers and 3-stars?
The right answer to me, at least, is a mix, right? Like I think if I was a coach building my roster out, the like backbone of my roster has to be still freshmen. Like I still have to recruit guys that I think are going to come in and learn the system and grow in their roles and develop it, et cetera, et cetera. And then you fill in the blanks with guys in the portal who have experience, who have played, have done a lot in college as it is, because you don't want to get into a situation where like take Arkansas for example this year, like they have a lot of guys who have played a lot of college basketball, scored a lot of points, a lot of good pieces, and they're just not fitting together because it's hard when you bring 10, 11 guys in together in one summer who've never played together and say, like, hey, let's be a team. So I think the right answer is recruit your freshmen, recruit high schoolers, build the team there, and then add in transfers where you see fit to kind of build out the rest of the team. Like for us, this next season, for example, for Maryland, like I think that again, Derek Queen, great piece. Jamie, DHS, hopefully Juju back. Like those are the foundations, and then we add guys who can. We need a point guard. We need some shooters. Like it's got to be a mix.
This is the thing
And
about all this
financially,
now is the thing about all this now too is that there's no blueprint. Like this is also brand new to every coach across the country. The transfer rules and now NIL is involved, where recruiting is completely changed, and you do kind of have to think of it like an NBA team. Your backbone is going to be your draft picks, and then you mix in the free agents and some trades in the mix. But like if you don't hit on your draft picks, you're not going to be a good franchise. And so, similar to what Travis said, you still have to recruit high school kids. You still need the 4 and 5 stars to come in, and then you supplement them with the quote unquote free agents from the transfer market. And it's tough. I think a lot of coaches, they try to win quick, and so they're going to be on the transfer portal more than others. But if you want to have a lasting, long foundation and good program, you definitely need a mix.
and I don't think financially Maryland can compete right now with some of the other schools. And the way you can kind of combat that is freshmen. You don't pay freshmen as much with NIL for basketball. Usually they have to prove themselves. So it's tougher for us to go into the kind of transfer portal and grab those big time ones because we're going to get outbid for sure. But looking at high school guys out of high school, they paid less. So I think that's going to be an important area for Maryland to win those over.
That's super important in a year like this one, where like next year we have a massive hole at point guard. Like Jameer's gone, Jahari is also gone. We don't have a point guard for next season, so we are going to be all in the portal for point guard, and we don't have the resources to be recruiting like 4, 5, 6 guys. Like that's going to be job number one, and I do think it's going to be an attractive destination for a guy who's probably played a lot of minutes in college, because you're looking at it, it's like, okay, like I can come here and be, lead the team, run the team. There is talent that will be on the roster. But you can't be recruiting for 4 or 5 different spots with a relatively limited resource pool. So one of the things that I've gotten a bunch of questions on, I think people are very curious about, is again the Derek Queen thing. Obviously, it's a very big deal, right? You don't get a 5-star recruit every year unless you are a Duke, Kentucky, whatever. Like, I mean, we've had what? It was him, Sticks, Diamond. You're talking about like McDonald's guys, Mello. So that's like 4 in the past.
Melo was. I don't know if Melo was a 5-star though.
He wasn't 5-star,
but it was.
he was McDonald's.
25 or so.
I think
Dion
was
wasn't
4.
a 5-star. Dion was a 4. I think the only 5 stars were Jalen and Diamond.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Diamond
3
was the only
5-stars.
recruit that I know.
Right. So it's a very big deal, right? It's a very big deal for the program. And he's a guy, he's from Baltimore, and it, keeps that Baltimore momentum continuing, right? Like from Darryl to Sticks to Juju and Jonathan to him. We have good momentum there. But I think one of the big things people are curious about is, okay, let's assume Juju comes back, right? How do those guys coexist? Do we think we can play a 2 big lineup with, Queen at the 5, Juju at the 4, and have success? I think when I think around college basketball, what I immediately think of is Kansas. Like that's the one program I think of that has, continuously over the years kind of been successful with that 2 big model, but I don't see a lot of teams really running that in 2024. So Reese, Kev, very curious as to what you guys think on that.
I think Willard's going to do everything in his power to get Juju to stay. Just the way it is now, if you can get guys like that who've been around, know your system, And Juju's playing well. I mean, we can say what we want. I think he's a very good big in the Big Ten. And I think he's going to do all he can to keep those guys on the court together. And I don't know if that's a recipe for winning in March, but I do think it's a recipe that they could win a lot of basketball games together. And when I think about when we played Indiana, it was hard to beat those guys when Reese and Trace were both on the court. They were a good 4 or 5 punch. And I just think if you have those guys, you get rebounds, you're more physical, teams don't get second chances. And if that helps win lots of basketball games. Maybe not in March, because I think guard play wins in March, but I think that's big for regular season.
I think I personally, I think the signing is huge. We're not in a position where we should be telling guys, no, don't come here because of players that we currently have on the roster, and we've seen how that's gone this season. Derek, I think this was a major priority, a major get for this coaching staff. This was something they've been talking about for a couple months now. Local kid. He's not somebody that is going to wow you athletically. And, I think Juju is more somebody that he's a rim runner. He's an energy guy. His game has evolved now where you can put him on the block. But I think, I think Derek he's more of a guy that, he can make plays. You can get him the ball in the center of the court. He's a guy that is cerebral. He thinks the game, he has good feel, and he's only going to get better. And so, and I think there is a path where these guys could potentially play together, but Derek Queen is not a guy that you say no to because of other guys that you have on the roster. So I just think the momentum of the staff, the buy-in from the fan base, especially the way that this season has gone, the timing of his commitment, and just the fact we got him, 5-star big coming to Maryland. I think it's huge.
Who does it remind you of in the NBA game?
It's a good question. You think Cat?
No, I'm saying who does the too big system remind you of? And that's Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're the number one team in the NBA. If you can figure that system out, it's really tough to.
Can he shoot it? Can he shoot threes?
I don't know if he can shoot threes, but he has really good touch, and
he's great touch.
He's great touch. He has good touch. He can put he's the type of guy who gets rebounds and he could start your break. I don't think he's a guy you want going coast to coast, but you trust him making a couple dribbles and being able to make plays. Defensively as an anchor, I think it's the Big Ten. The Big Ten is known as a big clogged up conference. It's not, Reese made a good point. We don't know what March looks like, but I think you have both these guys 4-5 and they're starting for you most of the year. That's a good problem to have.
Part of why it does work is that he is really talented. He's polished. He has good footwork. He can pass. I saw him he was in the post, and I saw him whip a cross court left-handed pass out of a double team, which is you only see point guards making those types of left-handed passes. So you have a guy like that is talented, skilled. It works, right? You don't have two athletic rim running bigs. That combo is tough. But I do think it worked. I hope they try it. And again, even if they aren't great on the floor together, you have two high level 5 men that, we haven't really we haven't had that combo in a while, right? Even this year, Juju goes out, play drops off a little bit. So I'm excited to see it.
Well, and also it takes pressure off of him. You come in as a 5-star. Diamond didn't start as a freshman. People forget that. He started maybe 30% of our games.
As a freshman, this dude left.
Well,
he never started at Maryland, right?
Well, 30% of the games he started, but he was not he's a number one recruit. He was a 5-star. He did not come in and start right away. He had the ability, and he would have been great in year 2 if he stayed. But he had the ability to kind of learn from somebody that was ahead of him, either Rob Carter or a DeMonte Dodd that kind of played the game an extremely right way. So, it kind of takes pressure off, just like Kevin, you were talking about with DHS this year. Hopefully, he continues to have a little less pressure. He doesn't have to be a primary scorer yet, but maybe next year he steps into that role regardless of the pressure that he has on him, at the current moment to start producing a little bit more. Maybe it'll help him ease into things.
What do you guys What do you guys think about something that actually it surprised me, because at the start of the season I thought he was a great get, was going to be great for the program. Hopefully, he stuck around. Mike Jones had a little, hey, how are you doing? And see you later. There was a quick couple months for him.
See ya.
Can't blame him.
Adios.
I'll put it out there. You take your alma mater job and you're a head coach. Like, good for him.
100%.
That's a move
100%.
everybody listening and everybody in this chat would have done. So happy for him. But it again, Phil, there's now a void on our coaching staff, recruiting trail, a local guy that can connect and be that local guru to get some players. Who are we gonna get now?
The Mathis-sized void.
Yeah. And I think Mike Jones, anyone who knows Mike Jones loves Mike Jones. He was a great guy. Like Kevin said and Travis just mentioned, Mike Jones. Mike Jones. So he was at the Matha for a while, was terrific there, produced so many great NBA players. And like Travis just said, that's going to be tough to fill a guy who knows the area. Everyone in the area knows him. I thought he was going to do real well at Maryland, but good for him. He deserves it. I'm sure he'll do really well there. But again, that's a tough loss for Maryland and local recruiting.
Something else people were asking about is kind of like, oh, that's, off Willard's staff. That's 4 head coaches in 2 years. Like Sadler, that's 4th and I think it's something where, it's a great reflection, I think, of the program and of him and the guys that he's producing, right? Like if people are consistently, coming to Maryland and saying, hey, we're plucking these guys off your staff because we want them to lead our programs, it is a good thing. But with that said, like it's, you're consistently having to replace guys and, I don't see many programs around the country dealing with this way we are. I think it's just Alabama.
That's something that I feel like it's not emphasized or like talked about enough, is how impressive that kind of is how many coaches have been hired off of the staff to be head coach position. That's the type of stuff that happens off of the Kentuckys or the Dukes or, back in the 100%. Heyday, the Louisvilles. You see it like Willard's it's second year here. He's won 1 tournament game. He's had 4 coaches leave for head coaching jobs. Like, I think that's a great reflection of who he came in with. The guys he has around him obviously had success at Seton Hall, but I think that's pretty impressive, and it's not something we're giving enough credit for.
Super. I think it's super impressive.
Well, it kind of shows you also the health of your program, like we're just talking about. Like Purdue, exact same thing. They just cycle guys in, recycle, and they bring in better talent every single time or similar talent. You have the Kentuckys, you have the Blue Bloods. It shows you that we have the guys that are able to recruit at an extremely high level, which kind of leads me to my next question for all you guys. When you look at the landscape of college basketball, we talk a lot. Willard has to have his class. He has to have an opportunity to have guys completely go, through the 4 years. Will that ever happen in college basketball again? Will there ever be Big Ten schools besides maybe Purdue and things like that to finish out their cycle? But will there ever be coaches that have the ability to have a real program, or do you just kind of coach to who you have on your team, or do you go get who you want to coach around your system? How would you guys address that? Best talent or best option for your system?
I think the days of 4-year college basketball players are long gone. I think it's over. I think with NIL, with the transfer portal, with, guys just wanting to leave early for the NBA, like you're not really going to see most guys stick around 4 years. It's going to be a lot of, a lot of movement. I think that's a challenge that these coaches are navigating. And again, it's so early in the cycle with this. But again, like that's part of why I think it is important to try to get as much stability as you can, because every year you're going to have guys coming in out of the program. Like this summer, who knows how many guys we're going to have leaving the program. You have no idea, right? Somebody comes in with a bigger NIL offer. See ya, adios. Like you have no idea year to year, which makes it very tough, I think, to recruit and plan. So you just try and keep as much stability as you can.
I think it also depends on the school, though.
System?
It depends. Like there might be 20 schools that can afford to do that are going to have guys who are producing for 4 years be able to stay in your lineup and be there 4 years. The mid-major, it might be
few and far in between,
right? So I think Maryland at the height can be one of those schools. if we get good and we're good for a couple of years and you carry guys over, like I don't think it's completely behind us.
Kevin, your Wi-Fi is absolute ass cheeks. I'm just gonna say, absolute ass cheeks. Sick of it. It's starting to piss me off. So here's my real question here, and this will be my last question. How do you recruit? So, Kevin, you have a team, college basketball team. You're at Maryland. Are you recruiting toward your system and doing the Purdue method, or are you doing the Kentucky method where you're going out and getting the best players, knowing, maybe the Purdue method isn't having 4-year guys, but it's having a 9-foot dude in the middle with shooters around him. Whereas Kentucky is, hey, let's go get every 5-star known to man and let's just figure out a way to piece them together and play fast. How would you go about recruiting in today's day and age?
I think there's only a handful of schools that can be at Kentucky that can afford to just recruit the best every year and figure it out. So I think the approach, the Painter approach, is what's going to be the approach for 95% of the schools out there, or even more. You have to have an identity as a coach. You're going to have standards. You're going to have non-negotiables, and that changes for each and every coach how they coach. So, your long-lasting foundation and your long-lasting program, you have to be a Painter type. Like, and also, can we also acknowledge that Calipari hasn't won with these guys since the Anthony Davis time, and Duke kind of went away from their model of just recruiting the one and dones. Like that never really worked. Even look at a year, someone like UConn from last year. I mean, Sonoga was there forever. Andre Jackson was there forever. Klingon is still there. Like they've built a program that now UConn is going to be a train. Like, I don't think they're going away anytime soon. And I mean, look what Creighton's done, similarly. So I think the approach is, there's some coaches out there, some of these coaches that are coming up, that they have the blueprint. Like, you still got to build the right way.
I think it is big, to Kevin's point, is when you recruit too, you can recruit, and you see what Purdue does. They get the next guy who's 7 foot and says, that will be you. Watch how he plays. And it's like, well, I don't mind sitting a year or two there, and I'm going to be a starting center at Purdue because my game's similar to, maybe not Zach Edey's, but it's pretty similar to the bigs Purdue traditionally has. Versus, or if you're a guard and you're like, wow, look at the way I believe I can shoot that type of way that guard does. I play similar to him. You can see yourself playing and succeeding at these schools. So that's why, guys, it might be easier to get guys to commit if they know the system and know they would be successful in that role.
I love that it's also like take something simple real quick. You also look at the rankings, like Houston. Is my Wi-Fi still trash?
No, it's good now. You're a little delayed, so it's funny. You just
that shit is terrible.
It's like somebody throws an alley-oop to you while somebody's talking, and you just put your dong in their face.
Andrew gets hate where yeah, well, actually,
I'm just like midway through a whole thing, and Kevin literally just put full, double.
Hey, shut the fuck up. So anyway, what's really important here?
Yeah, no, I literally feel like a little bitch.
I'm just gonna not say anything the rest of the time.
No, keep going with your Houston comment. I think I know where you're going. I like it.
But start over.
Yeah. So, but real quick before we move on, look at the rankings of the teams that are at the top of the rankings this year. Like Houston has a lot of carryover. Purdue has a lot of carryover. UConn lost some guys, so they might be an outlier. Tennessee has a lot of carryover. Added a transfer. The big white dude can play. Marquette has carryover. Like
nice.
Arizona has some transfers. Kansas has some transfers. But the top of the best teams in the country are still, built with guys who have been there, and they've sprinkled in our quote unquote the free agent, the portal guys. So I mean, the blueprints right in front of you.
Agreed. Yeah. So, kind of shifting gears entirely from the men's game to the women's, which we'll also be shifting to the bottom of the barrel to the top of the barrel for what it feels like in terms of media presence and things like that. Caitlin Clark, has she completely impacted the entire landscape of NCAA basketball?
I mean, where is the University of Iowa? It's in Des Moines, right? I think it's in Des Moines. Travis Scott was in Des Moines, Iowa today to watch a women's basketball game. Like, just say that and just kind of. If I had said that to you 5 years ago, you'd have been like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dog?"
Yeah.
Like, I think she's just completely like when you talk about like media and star power and all these things, like she's kind of completely like she's changed the game, you know? Iowa City, excuse me, not Des Moines, Iowa City. I still don't think Travis Scott will pull up to fucking Iowa City.
No, she's selling out arenas like she's an artist. I mean, it's incredible. Girls' basketball games, women's basketball games are getting sold out everywhere she goes, and it doesn't matter the city. It's really incredible.
The Maryland people, when she came to Maryland, I think they said it was like they had the most ticket demand they'd seen in like 10 or something years. Like, and you know, like when our women play, like the gym is usually not completely sold out.
She's creating more demand for the game today than any person in basketball, including Steph Curry. So it's unbelievable.
As of today, officially the number one collegiate scorer in NCAA basketball history, men's or women's, Pistol Pete Maravich. Now, again, everybody's pointing out Cuz was playing without a 3-point line in 3 years. So, you know,
God.
yeah, which is that shit don't even make sense. It was ridiculous.
I'm just hoping, yeah. But I'm also hoping that the microphone caught Reese moaning toward that. He said, wow. "Mike, well, it's okay, Reese."
That shit would take Drew 30 years to get that record. Did it in 3.
See,
we taking personal shots. Well, see, Reese always won't cross the line, man.
Well, it's just Reese in a nutshell. I mean,
that's a low blow. That's a low blow. Talking about 30 years.
Shit, you might take Travis 28.
Give him a 5-point line.
Oh, wow.
Especially the way this guy shoots free throws. He's not helping himself out there.
Oh yeah.
What is you want to talk about free throws? Reese was shooting 40%. Somebody look up Reese college stats free throw percentage. That shit was woeful.
I think my 3-point percentage I was getting jumped by 5 different people. I'm just glad Travis jumped in and threw a haymaker to the other side. Can Caitlin Clark get drafted to the Pistons?
No.
Kev? Clip this, Amir.
Bulletin board material. Whatever they play next time. Kevin Herter said Caitlin Clark could be the 6th man.
And she get drafted to the Pistons. Caitlin
Clark is going to be a great number 1 overall pick for the Indiana Fever. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, have you guys seen ticket demand on how much tickets have gone up for Fever already? Last year, I think tickets were like, what, $60, and this year they're already at $175 average price. Like, that's ridiculous. She said it really well in her senior day speech or her interview or whatever it was. She was like, I started during COVID with no fans. Then the second year we had the drapes over the balcony. Last year was great, and then this year you can't even get the ticket. Like, that just shows how far the women's game has come, and it's a contribution toward not only Caitlin but the rivalries that they create within the sport. Which, however you want to look at it, the LSU's versus Iowa's, the South Carolinas. There's a lot of good women's players right now, and it's creating crazy buzz throughout. So, Kevin, I know you have 2 sisters, one of which is actually leading the NCAA in 3-point percentage. Shout out Megan Herter.
Shout out to that.
Women's game is on an extreme, high right now that I don't know if we'll ever see basketball at a higher level. So, yeah, that's
you have great players.
Congrats.
I mean, right now we have great players that are carrying the torch, and I think the NBA has been big in trying to boost, the women's game and bring attention to it. But like, you also got to give credit. Like, Caitlin Clark is unbelievable. She might be one of the best college basketball players of all time, and rightfully so. People are giving her the credit she deserves, and people are watching. And so she's going to leave college basketball next year, and like, who's the next one to pass the torch? I think it's kind of one of those similar LeBron type arguments. Like, LeBron has been carrying the torch of the NBA game for how many years, and he's going to leave, and it's like, you can't really replace a LeBron. Can you replace a Caitlin Clark? And so, I think playing in Iowa is like the perfect storm because it's like people in Iowa love her because like where else are we going to go? Like it's not like you have a pro team in Iowa to go watch. And it's like Iowa Hawkeye women's basketball right now is like the thing to do and everybody's doing it. If she's playing her records where Jill is, you got a lot of different people to now compete with. But, she's unbelievable, rightfully so. She's getting all the credit she deserves.
Anyway, past all that, we have a special announcement for the Instagram stuff. Kevin sucks, but we had 3 different guys. We had Omort 12, Trab, Rob Mill 2533, Robbie, Zach Meiser 03. That's you, Zach, and then Danielle Frey. Daniel. We spun the wheel, and the winner is Danielle Frey. So shout out, buddy. Danielle. You have your choice. Is it Daniel or Danielle? Danielle. You have your choice. Kevin Herter signed jersey or game worn compressions, and that's up in the air for the entire group to decide. Danielle, you send us a DM. You let us know which you'd rather have. Okay?
I thought he was going to say you have a choice: Kevin Herter signed jersey or Andrew Terrell or Travis Mountain signed jersey.
Can we also add in Kevin Herter signed jersey? I guess a game worn compression shorts, or if you're a female for a single friend, or a date with Mr. Andrew Terrell. Can we throw that on the table now as well?
I like that. I like that one too.
Yeah. All right. So it's decided. Too. 3 options. Boy finally got a haircut.
Choice is yours.
Choice is yours. You guys are just this is getting ridiculous. I feel uncomfortable as the host of this thing because you guys are so freaking on me right now. I feel like I don't know what it is. We got to wrap this thing up. This is getting ridiculous. Anybody else got anything about the trajectory or landscape of the entire college basketball world?
Beat Penn State, man. That's all I got. Let's finish the season. Let's just finish over 500. Beat Penn State. That's all I care about right now.
How many years would it take Andrew to beat the scoring record? Tweet us out, right?
Hang on. Tweet us. Do I play, though? Do I play?
You play 30. Play 30.
Play 30.
What conference? What conference?
I mean, dog, if you didn't play, it would take you fucking 80,000 years.
Play 30 at Maryland right now. How many years would it take Andrew to beat the scoring record? I think the over-under is 9.
Do I have the green light?
Yeah, you're playing 30.
Yeah, you're taking as many shots as anybody else. You're not doing like dumb shit, but like you're allowed to shoot.
For the record, Drew can shoot it, so give my man.
There we go.
Years.
There's your
Reese is now. He's trying to make up for it for later.
This is ridiculous. He can't guard anybody, but he can shoot it.
Don't care. I can guard you and out you.
No, care. You can't.
We're done here, and that's another episode of the podcast. Danielle, send us a message. I think we'll send you a message first. No, actually, you got to get through this whole podcast. We got to get through this whole podcast with you. So once you hear this, then you'll send us a message. Let's just check that you're actually a listener. We'll be back next time. This is Old Terps Podcast. Shout out us. How great are we?